The clock showed 3:33 a.m. when his eyes opened. Not by accident. Not from a bad dream. Something deeper had awakened him. For months, he had been running. Running from the connection. Running from the feelings. Running from you. But that night, everything changed. He was your runner. The moment you met, he felt something he couldn't explain. It terrified him. It wasn't logical, it wasn't typical, and it certainly wasn't something he could control. So, he ran. He told himself it was just a matter of attraction. He convinced himself you were too intense, too complicated, too much. He built walls. He created distance. But deep down, his soul always knew the truth. Why 3:33 a.m.? Angel numbers carry spiritual messages. When someone repeatedly wakes up at 3:33 a.m., it's not just a coincidence. It's a spiritual alarm clock. The number 333 means that the universe, your angels, guides, or higher power is trying to get your attention about something urgent in your life. It signals that change is coming. That clarity is near. That action is needed. For twin flames, 3:33 a.m. is even more profound. It's a portal into spiritual awakening. A divine confirmation that your connection is real. That the time has come to face the truth. It marks the moment the runner begins to wake up, not just physically but spiritually, emotionally, and energetically. That night at 3:33 a.m., his higher self finally broke through the walls of fear. In the stillness of the early morning, he sat in the dark, breathing slowly, his heart pounding, not from panic, but from realization. Memories flooded in like waves. He saw you. He felt you. He remembered every conversation, every strange synchronicity, every soul-level moment where time seemed to stop and only your presence existed. He remembered how you could finish his sentences, how you dreamed the same dreams he'd never shared with anyone. He wondered how you knew things he never said aloud. Being near you felt like coming home to a place he had never been before. And that terrified him. Because it meant everything he'd been taught about love, life, and logic was wrong. You weren't just another relationship. You were the other half of his soul. The awakening at 3:33 a.m. unlocks more than just awareness. It unlocks vision. Suddenly, the runner begins to see patterns. Symbols. Signs that were always there but ignored. He starts to notice things. You both loved the same obscure music. You shared an unusual childhood experience that no one else understood. You both dreamed of the same distant places even before meeting. His rational mind couldn't explain it, but his soul no longer needed to. He realized you came into his life not too early, not too late, but precisely when his soul needed to grow. He understood that his physical reactions, his heart racing around you, the magnetic pull, the emotional overwhelm, weren't just attraction. They were activation. His soul recognized home. He began to see the mirror effect, that you reflect both his highest potential and his deepest wounds. You triggered his insecurities, his fears of unworthiness, his unresolved trauma, not because you wanted to hurt him, but because your connection demanded healing. And in return, you reflected his light, his creativity, his purpose, the parts of himself he had long buried. At 3:33 a.m., runners finally begin to grasp the truth of the twin flame journey. And with that understanding comes a realization: you weren't just a random person who wandered into his world. You were chosen. You were chosen because your soul made a sacred agreement before birth. You agreed to meet him, to love him, to trigger his awakening, even if it meant you'd have to endure the pain of his distance. You are chosen because you carry a strength that few possess, the strength to love someone deeply, even while they're running from that love. You are chosen because your soul's mission is tied to his. Your lives are threads in the same divine tapestry. Alone, you are powerful. But together, you are transformational. Regular relationships wouldn't have shaken him awake. They would have kept him comfortable, stagnant, asleep. But you were the earthquake. The mirror. The catalyst. You challenged him to become the version of himself he always feared he could be. And still, through the chaos, you loved him without condition. Even when he pushed you away, you held space, not for the version of him that ran, but for the version you always knew he could become. After the 3:33 a.m. awakening, something shifts. The fog lifts. The journey home begins. It's not always instant. The ego still fights. Old wounds flare. The mind tries to reclaim control. But the seed of understanding has been planted. And once the seed of divine love is awakened, it can never be unremembered. He begins to see angel numbers everywhere, 111, 222, 555. Each one whispers,
"You're on the right path. Don't give up. It's time to grow."
He starts doing the inner work. He explores meditation. He journals. He finally faces the parts of himself he tried to hide. He addresses the childhood pain, the fear of abandonment, and the trauma he buried. He starts building a version of himself worthy of the connection he once ran from. Because he understands now, running from you was running from himself. To fully love you, he must first fully accept himself. And that is the purpose of the twin flame journey, not just reunion, but union with self. It's about remembering who you are through the mirror of someone else's soul. 3:33 a.m. was just the beginning. Now he walks a different path. It's not always easy. Healing never is. But it's real. And he walks it with intention, guided by the memory of your presence, the sound of your laughter, the love that never left, even when he did. You, the chaser, are not just waiting. You are evolving too. Growing. Rising. Because twin flames don't wait in sorrow, they rise in purpose. And every step he takes toward his healing brings him closer to the version of himself who can meet you, heart open, soul ready. One day, maybe not too far from now, the clock will strike again. It's not 3:33 this time, but something just as divine. A moment when your paths cross again, not as runner and chaser, but as two souls who finally remember what they always were, one.